Yeah, it was probably really nice yesterday morning, waking up and being able to be a little bit reflective and having had a look at the game. You know, just the cliffhanger that it was. Yeah, it was nice to know that we'd got over the line and the job was done.
And how was Johnny Sexton?
Yeah, Johnny was great afterwards. He was certainly in celebratory mood. He did get a concussive episode, but it was very, very brief, and he was totally lucid. He said he probably would have liked to have been out for a bit longer, so he didn't have to watch the end, because that was more stressful than the contact with Buster, I think. I think I probably felt the same way.
What was the key, do you think, Joe, Grayson Robson doing the old last game and that nail fighting finish? What was the key to getting out this time?
Yeah, probably the key in the All Black game is we missed a kick, and the key in this game was they missed a kick, you know. That's how narrow the margins are. I thought we did pretty well defensively, even toward the end there. And we put enough pressure on Pascal Pape that he was really struggling to get that pass away. He got cramped right up, and as much as it seemed that it was taking a long time to make the decision, I thought the decision was pretty clear and obvious.
Joe, you spoke before the Six Nations about maybe finishing in the top two and last four at the World Cup. Has the tournament kind of caused you to reset your goals at all with the World Cup coming up next year?
No, to be honest, I think they're my KPIs more than my goals. I think I'm a lot more short-term focused than that. For me, the very short term now is about reviewing, having a really good look at what we did do. What I think really did go well for us is the wider squad. It was fantastic, the training atmosphere, the environment at camp. I think outside the starting 15 and then the wider group of substitutes who came off the bench and made a real impact, all those things were outstanding, but the wider group again, they contributed massively. And you know, there's a number of them that you'd mention, but I'd probably leave somebody out. Someone who stood out to me was someone like Donica Ryan, who came in for the last 2 weeks. He'd had one game of rugby, I think, or one full game of rugby. He took over, you know, running the opposition line-out preparation and just was phenomenally good at it. And across the board, guys were great and kept pressure on individuals. I think another real success for us was, you know, the open day here before the whole thing even kicked off. I think players get excited when they see there's a really genuine interest, and there were 5,000 tickets available and they got snapped up straight away. And you know, there was a little bit of atmosphere that day, and I think the under-20s, the Irish under-20s, managed to make a bit of a gap in us a few times. It was a little bit the same in Clonmel. You know, it was fantastic. You know, Joe and Pauline at the Clonmel Club there, they made us feel incredibly welcome. And while the weather wasn't too welcoming, the Munster Academy lads did a fantastic job helping to prepare us, and it was no different in New Forge where we were really well welcomed. Jane Gawley looked after us really well, and again, the Ulster Academy lads were great to work with. And so just getting around and having that opportunity to train as a group and broaden the group at different times, I think that's probably one of the most satisfying things for us, and you know, that was outside game day.
Joe, I assume the search for Brian's successor starts today. Is that a project now that starts right now?
To be honest, it started when I got the job, and he and I sat down, and there were pretty clear parameters about how long he would be available. And we've certainly been watching players, and you know, I think both Robbie Henshaw and Darren Cave profited from the time they've spent. As I said earlier, one of the real success stories for us as a group was how much those sort of players brought. You know, Robbie Henshaw was almost whistled in every week because we were very much patched together in that last game, and there are some players who were starting to creak. As I said, you know, there's a few players who didn't manage to finish trainings in that week, and it did make preparation a little bit difficult, but at the same time, those players knew that they would be physically able to play as long as we managed them during that week, and thankfully that was the case. So obviously Robbie and Darren have been involved there. You know, guys like Luke Fitzgerald, who might play there a little bit for Leinster, and came on against the All Blacks and did a pretty good job considering he hadn't been playing a lot of centre. Those sorts of guys we'll obviously keep an eye on as well. Yeah, so we've been doing that for the last 9 months really, because we already knew that this day was coming.
Brian mentioned Jared Payne a couple of times as a possible successor. Do you see him as someone who could fill the number 13 boots?
Yeah, he would definitely be another guy who would be in the frame. I think he's a class player. He's an experienced player, and he has a natural intuition on the field. He's a very good decision maker on field. He tends to be able to avoid the first tackle or beat the first tackle, and he's a little bit flexible in where he plays on the field. You know, he has played on the edge or at fullback. Plays obviously a lot of fullback because you know they tend to have Darren Caver and Luke Marshall in the midfield usually.
Joe, what would you have done differently during this campaign, and how do you improve on what you've done to get better moving forward?
Probably beating England would have been good. It would have been good to not have to go to France and win to get the Six Nations. I just feel that that was a game that got away on us. At the same time, I think they're a team that could get away on anybody. I think they are going to get better. You know, they've got a lot of youth and they've got some experience to come back to it. I know Ben Foden's had a couple of games back now. Manu Tuolangi walked through a couple of tackles to score against the Italians, and he's an incredibly powerful individual. They'll get Billy Vanapola, those sort of guys back. So, you know, across the board, you just know that other teams are going to get better. And so for us, it's really in this week, Michael, that we're going to go through and see what we feel that we did do reasonably well, and feel and get a feel for what we didn't do so well, and get that feedback from the players as well. And then I might have a kind of more lucid answer and a more succinct one that might give us some direction for what we do in Argentina and then in the Guinness series that follows it.
Okay, thank you guys.